First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
What's going on, YouTube? It's Nathan back with another video presentation. Happy Friday. I hope everybody is staying dry because where I'm at, it is raining like cats and dogs. Before we get into that, I do apologize for adjusting my microphone. Before we get into the video, checking in. Daryl Fisher, what's going on, sir? Welcome. Good to see you. Happy Friday, sir. Welcome. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I need to say up front. This is episode 6, season 4 of the podcast. We're moving, I'd say, along pretty smoothly. If you had not seen episode 5, it's already on the playlist and it's already up on YouTube. Please forgive me if I have not been able to upload the other episodes on Spotify. I do apologize because I have things going on outside of YouTube. I will have that done this weekend, but up until this episode after it's completed. Episode 7, I will have that live some point tomorrow evening. That's when episode 7 will go live. That episode, actually, no, I'll wait until Sunday. I'll see how it is. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shawnee to the podcast. Shawnee, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself? Let the people know who you are.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just average Twitter user, WNBA fan. Hosted by Bonnet Gang. So, my handle's right there. You follow me. You can get more about us on my page. But I appreciate you having me today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your time. I actually have seen one episode so far of your podcast. I was really intrigued by it. I like it. I really do. I will also remember to put that in the description as well. And also I have her Twitter handle in the description as well, ladies and gentlemen. So in this episode, we're just going to talk about WNBA and also to the preview for the NCAA women's basketball season preview. There's some things in that I don't like. And with the WNBA, now that the season's over, some things happen. A team could potentially be in Oakland. The Chicago Sky won the championship. Washington Mystics are in the lottery. We're broke. Oh, it's just so much. So debrief. I'll ask this question. What did you think, Shawnee, of the season?
I thought it was a great season. I think being able to follow it as closely as I did in the manner that I did really enhanced it because, there's like NBA Twitter, relatively new. NBA Twitter is pretty established. So, you have people reacting to opening day. You have people, talking about it one weekend and, stuff like that. So kind of bringing that in a more positive manner to the W, where we're on it, our narrative set. We have, we looking for coming into the season. We got teams, everybody's, ready to talk a little trash, get some bars off and go from there. I think being able to really kind of like the Twitter experience really helped enhance the season. And it was a great season already. So yes. It was great to see.
I agree. Hands down. This is one of the seasons I was able to actually, I would say the first time I was able to interact with Twitter a little bit more. I didn't like the fact that there were certain games where I had to go, like, for example, the Commissioner's Cup. That was on Amazon Prime, and that instead of ESPN. Like that was disappointing.
So
like,
the thing, I kind of understand what they're trying to do and, stretch it out to where you're getting more eyes on the product, but it's like you can't advertise the WNBA at ESPN contracts, Amazon Prime, have the games on. So it's like we need to make it a little more centralized, because if you have all the things, like you have the important games on all these different channels, like some people aren't going to be able to see it. So I'm kind of for the most accessible ones, being the ESPN, and then I love the games on Twitter. That to me is a fun experience because we're on there. So having the games on Twitter, and then the app, since you're pressing the app as like the main source, but it's like a lot of the games are blacked out, so it makes it hard to watch on the WNBA app or the League Pass, excuse me, but. If they can get that figured out, I would prefer they go 2, 3, as opposed to let's have it on all these other networks. Like it complicates things, but the ratings were still up, so people are still coming. For sure. There's demand for it, so that was really good to see.
Yeah, I was a little concerned at first with the season when we transitioned from the bubble to everybody going back to their home arenas respectively. Like, okay, what was the crowd turnout going to be? And I'd say it actually exceeded expectations. Like for the Mystics, because they're where the old St. Elizabeth Hospital used to be. That's actually a good little area for it. But I think it'd be more if they're better down like where at Capital One Arena. But I like that. I liked also too. We got to see the top 25. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I got to get in one of those games.
What, the Mystics?
I want to go to a Mystics game. I got to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it just I'd say the travel is different. It's you got to go a little further away from the Capital Arena than I feel like if they played there. But I get it. It's all about I think playing in a smaller venue for them, and then letting it grow and see where it goes from that. But because I was like, oh wow, they're going to move from Capital One to the new arena. It's like, okay. So, and it still shows we still had people came out, like especially when Alana played her only really truly full game of the season. But
God bless it. Hey, she gotta go use somebody for parts and get a new bat, because I can't. We need to have EDD back in the league, man.
I agree, but I'm actually to the point where I think the Mystics should just start over again. I hate to really say that because I don't know what she's going to look like next season, and we don't have any money. And this, I just really feel like we're not going to get Tina Charles. She's not going to come back.
Really, you don't think?
No, she's going to want money. I mean, she'll probably take the grass. The grass is green on the other side because I think her admiration. She really came here thinking, okay, I want to be on a championship team, and then.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Okay.
Like, Alana was hurt. Then and Tina Maisha carrying the team. Then Maisha gets hurt. Natasha Cloud's not look like herself the first half of the season. Ariel Atkins is kind of sporadic with the shooting. Erica McCall gets hurt. I mean, that whole team, it was just inconsistent. Like, the more I think about that.
Yo, that sucks because you could have stayed in New York.
And I just look at like we have even I was in the Twitter space and I can't remember who said it, but yeah, we don't have money to sign free agents. I mean, we do, but we can't. We're gonna cut some corners. And on top of that, too, Alicia Clark was out the whole season, so I don't know what she's gonna look like next season, coming off a broken foot. So.
And then Misamin staying overseas.
Yeah, you know what? I'm convinced, and she's not coming back.
Guaranteed.
She's just not. I don't see her. She says she likes DC. She wants to remain here, but I think she's just more committed over there in Belgium, honestly. So I don't see it.
I would be.
I don't see it. What I also like about the season, we got to see the top 25 players. That was good. I didn't like the fact that we had to vote on the GOAT of the league. I think that, in my personal opinion, that does a disservice to the other women that, I don't know, I feel like played the game just as better. What do you think?
I feel like it should have been one of the things you recognize 5 important, your top 25 or whatever, but like to have the GOAT ball ceremony like that to me was excessive. And especially since the league, they haven't done a good job of promoting the legends of the game today.
No, they have not.
We talked about this week. There was a drop off after that like 96 Olympic team where the market is saturated with them and they're integrated into our culture, and now we're not really seeing, like, a lot has happened since 96 and 2021. So they could have really told the history of the game and done a better job of like tying the legends to today's game. Like the whole Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker, like that's a great story. And I'm hearing clips of Lisa Leslie talk about Candace Parker during her rookie year, and they're hilarious. I'm just like, why were we not playing up more things like that? More things of like, okay, you're paying homage to the past franchises, like your Comets, Comets, Monarchs, Shock, those
Miracle.
that are no longer with us. Yeah, and they really bring the history forefront and tie it all in together. The GOAT thing, it was more for them to continue pushing the same thing they've been pushing, and that's the Yukon Industrial Complex. That's the white play, the kind of white savior player narrative that they've been doing. So it served a purpose for them because they're going to keep doing that. But in terms of just a 25th anniversary, I thought it was whack.
Yeah, I agree. Really quick, is Jantelle Lavender still in the league? Yes, she plays for the Indiana Fever. Daryl, she plays for the Indiana Fever.
God bless the Fever. God bless.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Like, because when I'm sitting there, I'm like, why are we voting? Why are we doing this GOAT thing? And me personally, I don't believe in that kind of talk. I'm more of like, how each generation has impact on the league. And like you said, the league has done a disservice of really of kind of giving the legends its flowers. Like, I think the anniversary was just more like hey, thank you for what you've done for us as a league. Happy 25 years, and no problem. You're welcome. And that just to me wasn't that wasn't cool. And then like to have the GOAT, no disrespect, lose in the finals. And then
it's also not a good look because like now it looks like the Madden curse. Like, look what you did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of have an idea what the next 25 is going to look like. There were some players they did leave off. I'm not sure like if that's a bias.
I think it's an ignorance because there are some people with certain lists at like when ESPN kind of dropped some stuff. A lot of like people that have been following the game since they were kids is like, no, this isn't right.
Right.
So I think, there is kind of the push to have certain players in the forefront in this, that, the third. And then I think like some people do get kind of lost in the shuffle. Like, there had to be a big push to honor Simone Augustus. A lot of people don't remember how cold she was. Like, it's going to be the same thing with Sylvia Fowles. Like 3 years removed from being an MVP. And I don't think people truly know like how cold she is. So it's like when you're hyper focused on, certain players as good as they are, a lot of, just as good players get lost in the shuffle. So I think that's kind of where those lists come in. And then, going back to the late 90s, early 2000s, that was 20 some odd years, 25 years ago. So now you're really getting people get lost in the shuffle. And it's just, it's a little disheartening to see, but I think like we should have, again, really started from retelling the story of the W and, making sure that history before lists were made.
Yeah, I thought that's, and I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm at the current players, but I thought they would have pushed that a little bit. Like, hey, like 25 years ago, like this is how the league, this is how we should have done, like you said. When you look at the list, it's all subjective, but there's definitely, I agree, there's some ignorance on the list. Like to really say about 25 years, there's so much that's changed with the league. I wish there were some teams that would come back, but because of ignorance, politics, money, I think it'll happen, but I think hearts and minds got to change. Like I would like to see the Houston Comets come back, Sacramento Monarchs, the Cleveland Rockers. I would love to see those teams come back. Yeah, exactly. Detroit Shock,
Charlotte
Sting. Like, how do you go from Tulsa to Dallas? You went from the Tulsa Shock, Dallas. It's beyond me.
They went from a championship dynasty to Dallas Wings. If that's not a fall from grace, I don't know what is.
And listen, I like the Dallas Wings. I'm a fan of Enrique Ongubawale. I'm a fan, but I feel like
tortured fan of
I feel like Vicki Johnson holds their true potential back. That's just my opinion. So I do. Yeah. I really feel like your number one, like you have the number one overall pick in Charlie Collier, and I cannot pronounce her name.
Oh,
Awak. You had, thank you, Awak, and then they're not getting minutes. Well, I mean, minutes are not like.
You got to be committed to developing young talent because we have 26 draft picks, a year. So it's like we're gonna keep shuffling in younger players. Like we're gonna be the youngest team for a good little minute. So it's like it was always going to be a project. But are you committed to developing this project, or are you going to like pull and keep it pushing? So it's like Greg Bibb doesn't really seem to have a direction because again, we have a full roster every year and then 4 more drafts of really talented people. Because again, we had the number 1 pick, so either like trade that away and get assets, or figure it out. But like we're in this weird hellscape of constantly shuffling in younger players that don't get playing time that have a lot of potential. So God bless everybody because they graduate from the Wings and go on to do great things.
Yeah, because Zoris, Azare Stevens.
Man, my youngest, most improved daughter. I'm really proud of her. 2021 graduate Dana Evans. There was one more. Somebody on Skylar Diggins Smith.
Skylar Diggins.
Another Dallas Wing University
Liz
graduate.
Cambage, too. I read Liz
Yeah,
Cambage.
so, I
She played
mean,
for Tulsa, Dallas. Odyssey Sims.
They were contenders. I went to those games. So yeah, and you look throughout the playoffs, it's just with little Dallas Wing graduates. So you want to be prepared for the real world.
Right. Here's a question: should NBA players hype up their sister teams by going to more games? LeBron supports the Sparks.
I don't think it should be an obligation. I think if you're into it and you're cool with it, yeah. I feel like it's the NBA's job to kind of promote the city, so it's on higher ups. Because when all of this, when Adam Silver's tenure started, I remember him making comments about it's hard to market the WNBA because it's not a lot of interest in this, that, and the third. But then you go and start an esports.
Yeah,
what'd you say?
I was agreeing with what you were saying. I was adding what you were saying, where he said there's not a lot of interest.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then you go start a video game sports league. So it's you can figure it out for esports, which is still new and also losing money, but you can't do something for the WNBA, which has had, at this point, 20 years. And, that's your job. Get the interest.
Right.
Go market it. Go, expand. So I think his attitude towards the W is more important than the players, because hoopers recognize hoopers. So the players are gonna gravitate towards it and support each other because that's just what they do. But I think the NBA unions should have been working together. So I understand how you have the WNBA union and the NBA union doing separate things and not really having on one accord. So that to me is the more attitude as opposed to just individual players and games. What is management and the people with actual power gonna do to help their sister league? Because at the end of the day, if operating at a deficit, that affects the NBA. So it behooves you to try and help this make as much money as possible.
Right. That's right. No, I agree. His approach, like you said, his approach with the league when he first became commissioner, that's why I respected more. I had more respect for David Stern because he really wanted. He really had really big ideas for the league, and I feel like once he stepped down, which was kind of out of the blue, Adam Silver kind of put those to bed. He's kind of more just focused on the NBA, but I think honestly and truthfully, if you look at the NBA from in my perspective, analytics has kind of ruined the game. Guys are shooting more threes. There's no strategy, but I mean that's all. That's a different other day. But
right,
yeah, and also too, if you think about it, you had more commissioner replacements in the WNBA under his term. All about the same. Because he had Lisa Borders.
Yeah.
Kathy. Well, I'm just talking about
somebody right before.
I'm just thinking under just Adam in particular. I can't think of a name before Lisa.
I know you're talking about. I can't remember her name either, but I remember who you're talking about. It's been a couple.
Yeah, but Lisa Borders, I was really disappointed because she did. I feel like
she was wild. She would be on TV one minute oh yeah, I have the players' cell phone numbers and I have this great relationship, and we're like, okay, they're stuck at the airport. Go get them. What are you doing?
Go get them. And that's that's what bothered me. like I'm not like calling out any of the players, but I'm like, you guys really didn't give your commissioner that energy. Like we're sitting here at the airport trying to get to the game, trying to go home. We're just gonna be here stranded. Like that's not. She didn't. I feel like she didn't do her part as a commissioner.
Absolutely, they're on Facebook telling us that they stuck at the airport, and you are bragging about how close you are to members of the union. Like,
yeah, and then also too, like I feel like when Kathy came in, like I understand she's this. We were talking about it again in the Twitter space. We understand she's a business mind, but I'm a little confused of her vision. I don't know where she's trying to take the lead. Like I think she wants to grow it, but she's kind of like, I don't know which way to turn. Do I turn left or do I turn right? Like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from her. And
yeah, reality is there's a lot to be done with the W. So it's like you kind of got to focus on your plan of attack. And somebody brought this up in spaces the other day too. It starts with understanding who your target audience is and who you're trying to target, because they seem to be all over the place with not even all over the place. They are not fully tapped into who's really watching and who they could potentially be bringing in as hardcore fans. It's kind of, a certain demographic is being pushed to the forefront. And I think once you kind of figure out who you're talking to and who you want to be talking to, it makes it easier to plan accordingly. So I really think that they need to reevaluate that in a hurry before they do anything else. Because like if you keep growing, like it feels like it's outgrowing itself. Because like you put it on ESPN, right? That's a huge move. The TV deal was great. Because as you see, like ratings keep going up. So you have all of these people excited about it and wanting to watch it. Then you have little things like no merchandise. You have little things like, you're not, certain players are not being introduced during this opportunity. So that's what I'm saying. Like you got to figure out who you're talking to and who you want to be talking to in order to really get a game plan.
Right, I agree. I also think it's kind of I don't want to say I think it hurts the league, but it kind of, I think it hurts the league in a way where, like for example, there was where you're seeing a lot of them where they're getting endorsement deals for their brand, not for the league, and like that stings. Like for example, for example, Dee Richards, Tay Cooper, outfits, eyelashes, all that. The league could say, "Hey, we would like to have some kind of endorsement deal." Like that.
Hello.
That's money.
We just saw the NBA draft. Like I don't know who they partnered with, but the NBA dropped that like makeup palette for it was an eyeshadow palette for women, and it was like, why didn't y'all collaborate with the WNBA to like now introduce? That's what I'm saying. Like they just hustle backwards, and I don't understand what here.
Yeah, I don't get it neither, and that's my. We're going like 25 years now. We're going to the year 26, and I'm hoping that these kind of conversations are happening, because I feel like for the league, the momentum is gaining, and there's definitely grow. But like if Kathy is not taking any initiative, and the players aren't pushing, we're just back to square one, and that sucks. Do WNBA players hold mini camps like their male counterpart? No, they just have what they had. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I thought no, you go ahead, because I thought I saw camps.
No, mini camps. So like off-season mini camps. So like basically how it works is most of them now are overseas playing for Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Turkey. they're there until about what, May? No, March, April.
Because it's like up on the start of the season.
Right. And then some of them don't come back until like midweek, like the second week of the WNBA season. So like they're coming like right in from one overseas league back into the WNBA. So I mean there's training camp like after the draft, but like during the off season there's no mini camp because most of them go overseas to make money, which is another issue in and of itself.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood this question. I thought it was like individual like skills camps.
No, he's talking about like mini camps, like off season camp, like workouts and stuff. Like, do they have like mandatory OTAs?
I feel you.
That's another thing that has to be worked on is we've got to get them some more games. I feel like it needs to be at least. We played 30. We played 32 this year.
Mm-hmm.
We need. I say we need to bump it up to at least 40. 40 games.
And I think that new league that they're trying to develop in the States should help because if you don't have to go overseas and you can stay here and not only play and get paid, but be promoted and become like, a fixture in American households, then when the season starts, like now we can expand the season to 40 some odd games, in early May and go through, October like it's doing. But like this year was the Olympics. And then again, like you said, you have all these players coming from overseas, like at the very last minute and needing to leave to go overseas immediately after the final buzzer. So I think like being able to keep people home during the off season, will really do wonders for the league.
Especially too, where some of them are going overseas and risking injury. Like that. That's where it hurts. Like I think one year, Breonna Stewart, she tore her Achilles. Alyssa Clark Lasses and broke her foot. Like, come on, man. Like
it's like they can't not go because that's where the most money is. So
that's where the most money is. It sucks. Like I think one year, Diana Taurasi, Craig, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Then she kind of hold the league. I want to say the league hostage, but she kind of had like her own set out.
Yeah, that's she was like, I'm out. Like they said they're going to pay me more to stay. I'm out. Y'all got it this year. And I respect it because it's like that's the bread and butter. So that kind of helped push the new CBA because, again, if you're losing top talent to overseas because you're not paying them for a month, this is what you're going to get.
And I think Liz Cambage just came out and said it. She said the salary she makes here didn't pay her bills. And I'm like, okay. I understood it, but Liz Cambage is another subject for a whole other day.
And you need the full
we're going to wrap the last question. What'd you say?
I say you need the full day for Liz. You can't. Yeah. She's looking for a footnote.
She'd have her own Netflix series. Really quick, who was your surprise team and your most disappointing team?
Surprise team, I'm gonna say I think the Sparks did a little better than I thought they were gonna do, even though they didn't make the playoffs. I didn't expect much. I'm still not high on Derek Fisher for reasons, but they once they get Gabby Williams, they're gonna be nice.
Was she injured?
So James Wade put her on that. No, James Wade put her on that stupid list so that she couldn't play and traded her.
That's right, because she had an overseas commitment.
Yeah, so she was still in France training for like the Olympics and everything like that. And I don't know why he did that, but like he put her on that list and took her out for the season and then traded her. Like, and then the trade talks were happening like simultaneously. So I was just like, we lost the season to Gabby for no reason. But like they would have been a playoff team with her, and they're going to be nice once she gets back. It just kind of made me sad that she didn't.
I'm sorry. I wanted to play that for you.
It kind of made me sad that like she didn't get a ring this year, being she's been with the Tide like the whole time. So that made me sad. My most disappointing team, the Las Vegas Aces. And I say this as a huge fan of the Las Vegas Aces. I'm not high on Bill Lambier. I'm not high on what he has them doing. There's no spacing. They're not fully utilizing Asia Wilson.
Amen. Thank you.
Wants to shoot more threes. And Bill Lambier is like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm like, your MVP is like, she's 25 years old in her fourth season, has already won Rookie of the Year, MVP, took them to the finals. And now says she's even more dangerous. And you're like, no, let me stifle that. Like, what is she doing? Yeah, I agree. And then we see in the playoffs, you know, they should have beat Phoenix, like point blank, period. Phoenix got away, like, you know, Taurasi was out there wilding out and getting away with it. But it's just like, aside from that, you go away from Asia, you go away from what's working. You know, Liz had COVID, so she was never fully in shape. But it's like,
which is weird to me. Why would you have her on the floor and you know she's not in basketball shape? Like,
go with 65% of Liz Cambage is better than 100% of, you know, like, you know, Megan Walker. So it's like, if you can kind of get an advantage in some way, you're going to try and take advantage of those matchups. But like, they kept double teaming BG and leaving Brianna Turner like wide open. It just, that's where things kind of got away. They just focused. They needed Liz to play BG straight up, and she couldn't do that because she was tired. So that's where things really fell apart to me. And then, you know, just with that last play, why do you have Chelsea Gray inbound the ball? Why do you have Jackie Young out there if she's not going to be used in any way? Because nobody in their mind believed the ball was going to Jackie Young.
No, so it was going to go to Asia. It should have been.
And you knew that. So there was no real decoy out there to like draw BG
away from
Liz should have been out there. Yes. So even if you don't go to Liz, Liz is a huge decoy. So either BG has to guard her or Brianna Turner has to guard her. That's still a mismatch. And I know, you know, Liz was struggling with layups, but like, I trust her to make one.
Yep.
I'll trust her to make one. Make Brianna Turner guard Liz. Take advantage of that. And it's like, but you didn't force you didn't force the Mercury to make a decision because you took Liz out and just made everything easy. And you have Chelsea Gray inbounding the ball and never getting it back. Like, that's your 3-point shooter. So I'm kind of like, I'm not high on Bill Lambier. The way they went out this season was incredibly disappointing to me. You know, seeing Asia, you know, pretty much collapse on the court afterwards, like that broke my heart. Because again, she didn't deserve that.
No, she didn't. And that bothered me. And I didn't like how they had all them cameras on her like that. And I was a little, I was a little disappointed in the others like Jackie, Liz. They really should have just gotten her off. I don't even care if you had to carry her off the court. Like, to the point where her parents had to come off to come and kind of make sure she's okay. And you see all these cameras taking pictures. Like, no. That
I get it. It's like it hurts because I like her.
Oh, I'm a fan of Asia.
Sports kind of like sports is kind of exploitative in that regard, where, you know, victory and the agony of defeat. Like, we always get those kind of pictures and those shots. So I appreciated the team, like, you know, circling around her to at least make it hard to get the picture while she got herself together for a second and keep it pushing. But, you know, it's not the first time she's been in that state. South Carolina has had disappointing seasons under her, and then you look what happened afterwards. So I'm just kind of like, watch out next year. Hopefully it's the coach. I doubt it because they gave him more power.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense
also,
now.
I think,
what's his name now is in Atlanta. That's right. God.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh God, here we go. So best of luck to her.
You know, I got a couple disappointing teams. Number one, I gotta say Connecticut. First and foremost, Connecticut's has killed this narrative that you can't win with their length. Brianna Jones, DeWanna Bonner, Jonquel Jones. Personally, the reason why they lost that series against Chicago.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming, or act like I know this was coming because I did it.
The reason why they lost that series because the mistakes they made down the stretch. It's a different when your MVP comes out, nowhere to be found the first two games. Then they're talking like, oh, Melissa Thomas messed up the chemistry. I kind of want to say Kurt Miller, but at the same time, they got to the finals 2019. Like they have it. They have the pieces. It just like if Brianne J. Ray doesn't miss that layup, that's a different game changer. Like personally, like for me, Connecticut, Brianna Jones has to be their second MVP. If you're gonna have, I don't want to say it was a disappearing act from Jonquel, but like they had no other besides DeWanna, they had no other reliable scorer, and that's what sucks. So
I kind of feel like they forced Alyssa Thomas in too soon. Like she should have had a modified role just for this postseason. Like you're coming off of not playing all year, right?
Right.
You start in the playoffs, and then they like let her kind of hijack the offense because she got hot a couple times, and then you go away from Brianna Jones, excuse me. And to me, that one play where Jonquel came to check in for AT and AT waved her off and Jonquel went and sat down, that was indicative of the whole problem there. Like, you can't let her. Kurt Miller should have said, like, you know what, next season, when you're healthy all year, like, we'll get back to what we know. But for right now, this is what we need you to do, because they were clicking before she came back.
She came out. Yeah.
They were
the best team.
Yes. So, and then even in the playoffs, they were clicking without her on the court. So it's like she should have been there to enhance, not to really carry. And I think they relied too much on her, or not even rely, but like they didn't really
check her.
Nobody had a modified role for her. And now you get Jonquel lost in the shuffle. Now you're going away because Brianna, she was killing Candace.
Definitely.
She was getting in every position she wanted in that restricted area, and it was bad.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like I think I had picked Connecticut to go to the finals against Phoenix, and the last game 3 and 4, it just was like, wow, okay, like the best team in the league loses to a 500 team. And that's not taking anything away from Chicago. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, but they were up and down and inconsistent all season.
And that's what
you don't come into that winning like 14 straight and then go out like that. So that was definitely disappointing.
That was my second. That was the next disappointing with Chicago. Like you said, up and down. I know Candace was hurt. I know they had some other injuries. I know Lexi Brown, she was on the roster, I think, at the beginning of the season, and then they cut her and then bring her back. So, yeah, it was very inconsistent. Because I'm like, okay. they're not going to make the playoffs. And then Candace Parker comes back, and then they're on the tear. So, what else? The Washington Mystics.
Relationship with your
Oh
children.
my God.
God bless.
Not have Tina Charles should have gotten the scoring title this year. All that and no results. I can't even blame her. You know, our bench was terrible. Just inconsistent. Our record we're not. Our record says what we are. I'm glad we're actually a lottery team. I really am. He gave Deladon and Coach T gave me false hope after those 2 games, and then she has nerve pain, she can't play. Then we have a chance to beat the good in the playoffs. We look like a shell of ourselves against New York, and then completely just look. I thought we could beat Minnesota that Sunday, and then it's just like okay. So. Those are my disappointing teams. Next topic, off-season outlook. So the off-season should be interesting. We've got a boatload of free agents. I know, like, for one, Mystics we broke. We ain't got jack. I think we got like 400,000.
You're not getting that.
I mean, like, I don't know. It's like Tina's a free agent. Emma's a free agent. You can't sign them all.
I think the biggest thing really first is like retirements, because it really to me is going to depend on who is actually leaving and giving up some roster spots. Because if Sue Bird leaves or if Sue Bird retires, that affects what Jewel Lloyd does probably. If Diana Taurasi retires, that affects what Phoenix is able to do and what they're looking for. So it's kind of like if Candace Parker, Sylvia Fowles, Quigley, like if any of them decide to call it quits, then you have, people have some decisions to make, and then that might affect, that's a domino effect. So to me, the biggest thing is going to be retirements, because some of them need to go. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. We loved watching you play over the years, but please, it's time.
It's time. Yeah. I mean, for some odd reason, I just see Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi coming back. That's just me.
I certainly hope not, since you already got your, send off, your Olympic spots unnecessarily. So you got your ceremony. Just go ahead and,
call
do you.
it a day.
Yeah.
But also too, you gotta think about it as well. Like there are some be nice to also to expand the rosters to at least 15, because I'm not really a fan of the 7-day contracts. Like I know, for example, the Mystics, we had Stella Johnson, Kiera Leslie, and we cut them, and we for some odd reason kept Megan Gustafson, which made no sense.
We cut her like 6 times, so she's been going through it. We drafted her, then cut her, then brought her back, and then cut her again.
Like, I was surprised we didn't keep Lele Coates. I liked her. We just didn't. I just felt like he didn't give her opportunities in the bubble. But Coach T is weird. He picks and he picks and chooses. Like, to me, like, okay, this is my rotation. Like, this is who I can trust with my offense. And I'm like, Mike, this is not 2019. Like, you got new players. Like, you're going into a year where you're second best player, third best player. Maisha's a restricted free agent, so that's going to be money. You only got so. Like really quick, let me just go off some of these names. Like Jessica Breland's one, Liz Cambage, Rebecca Allen, Tina Charles, Kalia Cooper, Sophie Cunningham, Steffi Dolson, Rashonda Gray, Tiffany Hayes. There's a lot of free agents here. Asia Wilson is another one. Mercedes Russell. It should be interesting. Now, I think Maya Moore was under contract for up until this season because she's been on a sabbatical, if I remember that right.
So to my understanding, she's got like 2 years left on her contract unless she retires. So it's like it's gonna start when she comes back.
Oh, that's how. Okay, okay. Let's read that.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So, but she doesn't really seem like she's. To me, I'm getting the vibe like, yeah, I'm not coming back.
She is done. She's done. She's got that happy in love weight. She is done. She's that's it.
Cause I remember her saying that day because I was like, that's Maya Moore. Like, oh, okay, okay, yeah. Well, that Minnesota Lynx team is, I mean, I'm glad they're going in a different direction without her. So, but I used to hate them. I didn't. Well, I hate, but it used to piss me off that you had Lindsay Whalen, Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Becca Bronson. Like
they can't keep getting away with this,
Damn.
Yeah, give somebody else a chance.
It was like why this kind. I don't know. This might be. I might sound weird comparing this, but it was kind of like watching Golden State, where they had Durant, Clay, Steph. That's what it felt like to me. I was like, oh my god, like the Sparks gave me so much hope. 2016 when they won, I was like, thank you, thank you, Becca, thank you, Candace, thank you. It's a new lead for the WNBA. Like the era for the Lakers is over. But yeah. Who do you think you're surprised? Do you like see like anyone leaving, staying?
Kalia Copper is going to be a big one. It's like I think she's a free agent. I know Renee Montgomery was really tampering and trying to get her to come to Atlanta, but that's going to be a big one. And I think it's kind of like if Quigley and Candace, like it's been some scuttlebutt about them retiring, but if either one of them go, that affects what she's going to obviously want to do.
Right.
And, play into her decision. So I think that's a big one to me. Is she going to try and run it back because they're all running it back? Or is she going to try and go do something new and get paid or be closer to home or whatever? Well, she's already played pretty close to home. She's from Philly, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would you see, because there's also another point on this, would you ever see someone like a Kalani Brown back on the WNBA roster?
Oh, I hope so because she was hooping. And it's more than enough room for her. Like, you got a bunch of teams that, like Brittany Griner, nobody is facing her. So there is absolutely a need for a Kalani Brown. If nothing else, to just face her up, push her off her spots. Because Kalani's like 6'6". So it's like there is definitely a need for a Kalani Brown. So hopefully she gets back in soon because she's over there dominating in EuroLeague. Right.
I agree. So we're going to really quick the draft. The first four, we don't know who's got a chance, but the Indiana Fever, Atlanta Dream, the Mystics, and then the Spark, the Dallas Wings, via a pick from Los Angeles.
It's gonna piss me off because this is the year I want us to get the number one pick instead of last year. Because Ryan Howard out of Kentucky, she's gonna be number one. Assuming that if everything shakes out, she's gonna be number one. She's so cold, and I would love to see her. Just us be able to use her, but I feel like her and Enrique wouldn't work actually. So It's
No.
for the best. Hopefully she goes to Washington and, just balls out. Like, y'all get y'all new franchise player because she's so cold.
I agree. I don't see a fit for an Indiana. I think they got the pieces, in my personal opinion. I just think you just got to get somebody. I like Coach Stanley, but I don't think she's the coach, in my personal opinion.
No,
I think so.
not
Like
at
a
all.
Coach Taj Franklin, I think would be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's all. I mean, you can see she's developed, but no. And so, on top of that, like you got, I don't really know. No one was talked about Kaiser, where she's at. I mean, I really hope she's okay, but we haven't heard anything. And I was looking at their exit interviews. Like Tamika didn't even bring that up. Like no Kaiser. Like,
and you can't have your lottery pick just disappear and you not bring it up. Like that to me is a bad look for the league.
I agree.
Especially if you got all these like Jordan endorsements and things at the beginning of the season. So she was in our face like the first 10 games, like a ton, and then she just disappears and you don't even give us an update. Like that's whack.
Yeah, I agree. How did you feel about Alana Beard and her taking leadership for a potential team in Oakland?
So I had a lot of questions about that. One, like Alana Beard is not from Oakland. She just retired and hangs there. So I'm like, you spent 15 years in DC, played at Duke, played for the Sparks, played, you were never really stationed in the Bay. So I'm like, do you know the community, the ties, this, that, the third? So we were able on Spaces the other day. Miles Ehrlich of Windsor came through and kind of gave us some insight and said, it's a grassroots organization. She's more or less he didn't say this, but I'm paraphrasing. Like, she's a major player in it, but she's more. They're using her name and her face to kind of push this. Yeah, so she has people behind her that actually have ties to Oakland. So far it's still just preliminary. They answered a lot of questions, about the logistics of it all. So it seems kind of legit, even though a lot of us were like, we would have preferred to start in a previous city, bring the comments back, bring the shot back, things that. But, with the Warriors moving to San Francisco, that leaves the stadium. So then you don't have to get that cleared, even, kind of expedite the process. And then Bleacher Dade, native of Oakland, came through. Yeah, so shout out to him. He came through and kind of gave us, the pulse of the streets just in terms of women's basketball. I didn't realize how close Stanford was. And
I know how close that was either until he described it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I was okay.
Right, because I thought Stanford was like further north or something. Like California is a wild state.
It is.
So yeah, we got the full, the brevity of the situation. Answered a lot of my questions. I learned a lot, so I appreciate those two, and I feel, a little bit better about this whole process going to Oakland.
Right, I agree with you. I just would kind of, if we're going to expand more games, how we're going to schedule, because like that's the thing. I don't want to see like with for example the Atlanta Phoenix Mercury, they couldn't play at they had to play, I forgot what college arena it was, because I think it was Disney. That's ridiculous. I don't want to see that for any of these teams, especially if we're going to put a team in Oakland. But I feel like we can't talk about expansion until we get all these other issues addressed. We can't. It's like we're pulling the cart without the horse. So, and all this talk is great, but still, there's still like we got to address like the bigger issues.
Take care of what you got first before you expand.
Exactly. Spot on. So last topic, we wrap it up. This will be the end of the podcast. Give me your outlook on the season for college women's basketball. What did you like? Do you like the rankings by ESPN? And
Oh man, so we opened our third eye and kind of made the connection between Bristol, Connecticut and Storrs, Connecticut, where UConn is located, and follow the money. No, I'm playing. Not really, but like they got UConn up high despite saying that I saw people talking about it. Like apparently the article cited UConn's depth as the reason they think they're going to be number one when South Carolina has two teams, if we're being completely honest. You have that talented starting team, and then you have 4 5-star freshmen join the roster. And then you have a talented bench from last year. So you've got an A team and a B team. So, and then it says like, oh, there's more depth there. So it's like, to me, South Carolina comes in as with the highest expectations to win a championship. After that, for me, is Stanford. I feel like the reigning champs get a lot of disrespect. Haley Jones has been left off of a lot of lists,
which makes no sense. Lexi Hall too.
Lexi Hall, like Cameron Brink, like all of them have contributed. And then, but like Fran Believe gets on the big, the Lisa Leslie Watch Award list, and it's like she comes off the bench every now and again. So I don't understand how Haley's not getting attention, but like she's on a watch list. So I'm not big on the Pac-12 as a whole, but I'm still big on Stanford. So I, kind of hold them in high regard. Who is it? That I like Maryland out of the Big Ten. They are a team that excites me. I think that if they had beaten Texas, I think they would have beaten South Carolina and really like made a push for a title. So I look for them.
Guaranteed.
I think Maryland is a team to look out for this year out of the Big Ten. The Big 12 is a little dry with Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor, but you got Nikki Collins coming in. Yeah, Colin, excuse me, coming in. I think she'll be, she's got some pieces to work with. So her, between Baylor and Texas out of the Big 12, ACC is another exciting conference. I love what Louisville's been able to do. Jeff Walsh has been recruiting his behind off. And like, yes, you have Dana Evans leaving, but Haley Van Lith is like that.
Sorry.
So I'm excited to see what she's got going on. I'm ready to see Duke play finally, see what Kara Lawson's working with. And
I think they're gonna have a good season.
I hope so. I want her and Neil Ivey up at Notre Dame to get back in the swing of things and really make it happen. So I'm excited for this season, but my top three, I still like South Carolina, I like Stanford, I like Maryland. So everyone after that, we'll see.
Yep, I agree. All great points. I think me personally, I would have had South Carolina, Stanford, Maryland, and UConn. And just for the record, they will represent. Those would be your Final Four teams.
Guaranteed.
So, because I'm still mad we lost to Charlie Collier in Texas. But that's one other story for another day.
That was the most exciting game I've ever seen, though. We'll say that the pace of that game was insane.
We lost. I'm just sitting there like at my chair, like we really lost to Texas. Like on paper, like that's a W.
Y'all had that game too, bro.
We coming back though. We coming back. Brenda Freeze has got a squad. She gonna do her thing. So, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna wrap up episode 6. Honestly and truthfully, I think the season for the WNBA was great. There's some things that we guys got to clean up, particularly with Alana, that mess. I agree with who it was. I can't remember who their name was. Didn't talk about it more with Kennedy. I don't know where I don't know how that would affect Courtney Williams is getting her money. Crystal Bradford, but I talked about that. I talked about the last few episodes of my podcast. So The league's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. College basketball, particularly women's college basketball. This is a deep class of good women, great talent coming in. So appreciate the talent and the greatness of some of these girls, because I hate to say it, the WNBA takes it for granted. And like when Candace Parker and all them retired, and it's like, oh wow, okay, you really got to start really appreciating some of this talent that's coming from the league, that's coming into the league, but that's getting ready to go into the league. Because even though last year's draft class was very disappointing, didn't exceed expectations. I mean, there were some, but it was just overwhelming, just not a good draft class. So I'm hoping next year's draft class is better. But yeah, I mean that's my closing. So, Sean, do you have any final thoughts, final words?
Come rock with the gang. We're gonna be doing spaces throughout women's college basketball season. Keep the good momentum going, keep the vibes going, get some dialogue going. So, come out and follow and keep up. But I just want to thank you again for having me on.
Yes, thank you for taking the opportunity. Thank you for taking your time and joining me. I know you're a very busy person, so I didn't want to hold you that long. So, Blue Ivy's personal assistant.
Nice.
Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude the episode. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you want to see more suggestions? Would you like to see me bring Shawnee back in for another episode? Leave it in the comments below. I will leave her Twitter in the description below as well. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next episode. Peace. Stay up, y'all.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.